even if you are an entrepreneur and that's your job, there will always be other things to learn. And if you're curious about that, then you grow.
Ioana, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
We're going to chat about something today that it comes up a lot, right, in entrepreneurs that we speak to, and people in life in general, that people tend to stay in their lane. They do one thing and they're okay at it and just keep going. If someone's in sales, that's what they do their whole life because that's the box that they're in. If someone's in tech, they don't want to go into marketing because, hey, I'm tech, I can't do that. But you have a really diverse background, right? And you're not afraid to try.
That's a good way to say it, that you're very kind.
Yeah, but you're not afraid to try new things, which is quite cool. So you started off as you were an actress previously.
Yeah.
And then went from actress into consulting.
Yeah.
Was that just something you wanted to get into, or was it something you fell into, or?
I guess everything I do is something that I want to get into at any point in time. And yeah, the play between acting, consulting, and other bits and pieces has been on and off over a few years. So I'm from Romania. I grew up in a pretty science-y high school, and with that kind of background and those kinds of expectations from the people around me. And I liked it. It was okay. Like you said, the sort of maths, computer science towards the end of high school. And like you say, right, it's this thing that you're good at, and it's sort of comfortable and quite interesting. And then I discovered acting when I was about 16 years old, and I really got into it. There was a drama club in my hometown. And I just knew that this is what I want to do. This makes me happy. And along the years, I eventually came to accept, I'm still accepting, the fact that I can be and do all of these things, not necessarily at the same time, but now and then switching between them.
So what's your advice for people, right? Because if someone, like you say, it's comfortable, it's something they're used to. What's your advice for someone who wants to break out and do something different? Is it jump into deep end, or is it kind of side hustle it for a while? What's the best way to do it?
I don't think there's one answer to that.
Yeah.
But I will say that I think every individual has a responsibility to themselves to identify that moment of fear, of sheer panic when you want something so much that you're really afraid of either getting it or not getting it. It's risky, right?
Yeah.
I think we as humans, most humans are creatures of risk. We identify it. Sometimes we run away from it. Sometimes we take it because we need to take it. And I suppose my advice is, first of all, recognize those moments and cherish them. The moment of confusion, of uncertainty, cherish that moment because it's a gift. And then actively choose what you're doing with it. Ask yourself, really important question, do I let that fear or that risk hold me back? Or do I embrace it? Do I fly off into uncertainty? And I think those moments are very key moments in people's lives.
Yeah. So you're in tech at the minute. What are you doing in tech?
Yeah, I'm a product manager at a company called Vouched For.
Okay, cool. But also, I see alongside that, you're also doing femship. So
correct.
A lot of times people have, I'm here all the time, people have full-time jobs and they're difficult, and it can be long hours and et cetera, et cetera. And then the thoughts of working on something on the side is quite difficult, especially femship is, you guys do events and you do things like that, which can be time consuming and difficult. What makes you want to do something like that on the side?
That's a good question. I suppose maybe it relates back to that moment of sheer want and risk and wanting to better yourself, but also wanting to better the world. So actually another concept that I like to think about is impact. How do I want to impact the world around me, the people around me, the future, as well as myself? So to answer your question, what I'm doing with femship and what I'll probably be doing with loads of other things later on, I want to challenge myself, and I want to see complementarity. I almost like paradox, this paradox of there's this job that I have that's already challenging and really interesting, and I'm learning great stuff. But no matter how great a job will be, even if you are an entrepreneur and that's your job, there will always be other things to learn. And if you're curious about that, then you grow. Yeah,
that's true. And so with femship, you're helping. Is it female founders or people who want to be female founders? How does femship help?
We started out by wanting to encourage female entrepreneurship. Either people who are already founders or are thinking of being founders who have an interest in entrepreneurship. And slowly we realized that sometimes that word can have a bit of a buzz, even a bit of almost an intangible feeling of fear around it. And I say
Okay.
that because, again, risk and uncertainty and maybe I'm not good enough, maybe I'm not made for this. Right. What we're doing with Femship is we're seeking to enhance collaboration between women who have entrepreneurial drive. Now,
Okay.
they might not own a company. They may not want to do that for another 10 years. That's fine. But plant that seed inside people. Let them know that they can do it and that they're already doing it in various different ways.
Yeah.
And that's how you help people grow.
Yeah, it's interesting. Do you think it's quite difficult for a lot of people? You know, it's not even just a female founder trait. It's or a female trait. It's people in general that they don't know the steps to take to become an entrepreneur. They don't know the steps it takes to
Are
launch
there
a
any
business.
steps?
Registering your business, like coming starting your business plan. But you know,
Yeah.
like or a pitch deck or whatever it might be.
Yeah.
There's not one path, right? So don't
For
get
sure.
me wrong. There's
Yeah.
not a hey, this is the path that you take. But a lot of people, it just looks so daunting at that stage
Yeah.
that they go, I don't know what to do next, and that's quite difficult. So,
Yeah.
and Femship helps. Do you help make that more clear? How do you help in those workshops?
Not necessarily. So let me tell you how we did approach it. So I mentioned I have a background in acting and consulting and just general curiosity about the world, right? So the kind of principles that I'm trying to apply in these workshops relate to taking risks in the room with each other, with yourself, feeling like you're challenging yourself in those 3 hours in that workshop. And doing that at the same time as learning certain business concepts. So for example, the 4 main themes that we're approaching are raise your voice, raise each other, smash them problems, and find resilience.
Okay.
So we think that's an end-to-end journey of going internal to external, learning
So
as much as
what they have
possible.
to shout? No. What do you, like?
I mean, I guess people do tend to speak quite loudly once they get excited.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about finding your voice and having the courage to say something that you may not say every day.
Yeah. And how are female founders or people who want to be female founders or just females, how are they finding out about this? Is it just through a network or what? Because it's always interesting to hear how word spreads.
Yeah, it was a wild one. It still is. We're constantly experimenting. I think most businesses are. I would say, okay, if I think of our cohort so far, so we have about 30 people or so, 30 customers so far. And a few of them are from my own network, people that I've met through various events, various friendship groups and communities. And then about half of them I've never seen before.
Okay.
So it's a mixture of things. Definitely word of mouth. I was actually pleasantly surprised to see how word of mouth contributed to this. Yeah, and online channels, that's always a good way to spread the word.
Yeah, of course. And is it just for people that are watching the show, is it London focused, is it UK focused, is it?
We're based in London at the moment, yeah. 3 of our workshops so far had been held in central London.
What do you think holds people back from doing it? Because you're saying, you know, someone that might not want to do it for 10 years. What are commonalities? Because you have 30 members, 30 customers. What is holding them back from just going and doing it? What do you think? Is it self-confidence? Does that come into it? Is it a bit of, you know, someone said it earlier on, imposter syndrome among some people? Say, I can't do this. That's not me. What are the commonalities among people that just don't go in and do it straight away?
That's a good question. I would start by differentiating between what you know, and what you don't know that you know. So
Okay.
a lot of these buzzwords, imposter syndrome, even financial uncertainties, stuff about business plans, you will hear a lot of this coming up. And I'm not saying they're invalid, but sometimes there's something deeper holding you back, almost something invisible that maybe you can't really voice. And if I were to summarize what I believe are the main things that hold people back in general, not just from entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
I'd say growth mindset, the idea that you're not made for something and that other people are, and those people are few and far between. Suffice it to say, I don't believe in that.
Yeah.
I think the second thing is some people aren't necessarily comfortable with numbers or with quantifying risk, which means that, again, there's a misconception around how your personal finances or your future finances affect your chances of success. And as a very last thing, potentially the most important, I think, is the concept of community, of support. sometimes even just irrational, purely generous, altruistic support. Yeah, I'm going to stop there.
Yeah, we could probably talk about it all day.
I could.
But, no, it is, because it's super interesting. We're nearly out of time, but we'll link everything below about Femship and anything else you want us to. We'll link it below. People should definitely check it out. But thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Thank
I
you.
really enjoyed it.